Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. My name is Scott. I'm really into fig plants. I've been growing them for a couple of years now. Let's go take a look at the progress. Some weeds down in there. I don't think I've seen one this bushy with Alright, well, several years ago, actually it was 2006, I bought a fig plant. I bought two of them, planted them in my yard. One promptly died and the other one struggled along. 2008, Hurricane Ike came through and blew my little plant over, and so I propped it up again and it kind of limped along. I finally figured out it was competing with the lawn, so I mulched around it and built a bed, and now the thing is taller than I am and it puts out figs almost every year now. It's a Celeste variety, and I like Celeste, it's a good variety. But I learned that there were hundreds of other varieties, and so I began to collect figs, fig cuttings. I learned how to do cuttings, and I had some moderate success with cuttings. And I've got over 30 plants now, 30 varieties. And so I started looking around, how could I get better at it? I bought this book, Fig Culture, Edible Figs, their culture and curing. This is more of a commercial grower's guide for the old school way of growing them, like they used to do around here in the city of Friendswood, the city of Pearland, and the surrounding areas here. Fig growing was a big deal here, and they used to pack the figs. There were packing plants everywhere. And the variety they mostly used was the Cadota, and I have a Cadota. It's a nice little plant. It's a tall, well-trimmed plant. I bought it as a plant, a 2-year-old plant. But other varieties I wanted to try as well, and so I purchased cuttings, I've purchased some small plants, I've purchased some tissue cultures, and they're doing well. I have a large Ischia. I don't know whether it's a white or a green or some other kind of Ischia. It was just labeled Ischia from Baker Creek. It started out about that big, and now it is a 3-foot wide, 4-foot wide bush in my backyard. I'm going to get some fruit for the first time this year. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got a bunch of other varieties too. If you're into fig varieties and fig history, this is a fun little read. It's a thin little book. Fig, A Global History, and this is a very colorful, well-illustrated book. It's a high-quality book. It's got a lot of illustrations. It's fun to read. So certainly inspire you to check out different varieties of figs. So let's go check out my figs. I want to show you the progress of my cuttings from the last couple of years. Look at this big giant bush. This is a cutting from last year. These things grow like crazy. Look at all that bushing. Beautiful figs goodness. And so the beauty, you got some weird things going on here. You have a leaf like that, very atypical fig leaf. At the same time, you have these highly notched fig leaves like this one here, more characteristic of this variety. These are some of my other figs. Some of these were started from cuttings. As you can see, that one was a cutting. Some of these were purchased as tissue cultures. This was a tissue culture, a magnolia. This was actually one of the very successful commercial varieties from this area, magnolia. I've also got another one. The other major commercial variety from this area in the early 20th century was the Cadota fig. This is my Texas Blue Giant. This thing was 3 feet high last year, but it was growing in a way I didn't like, so I cut it off. I cut it down to basically a stick, and it's come back really nicely. I'll be able to control its growth now and direct its branching. In fact, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pinch this growth node off right here. When you pinch these things, you see that white sap coming out of there. That'll seal up in an hour or two. That's a latex sap, similar to a latex. And this plant will now direct more branching down here. And I really want this to branch out and be a tree rather than it was just a big long stick. And so you can see it's branched out. I did actually notch this. You can see right in there maybe. I don't know if you can see it. Right above this node here, there's a cut. I cut above some of these nodes to concentrate the growth hormones at the node. I said, and have always said on this channel, that when we have successes, we share them, and when we have failures, I'll tell you. And the method that I've been using, that I've promoted on my channel, is a very good method for rooting fig cuttings, but it's a very difficult method, I have come to find out, for transitioning those successfully rooted and very lush fig cuttings to ambient humidity, at least in my area. And that has been the weak spot. That's where I've had some failures. And so I've been using the 3-cup method. You have probably seen some videos. I'll link them so you can try it if you want to. But I'm going to try different methods in the future. The 3-cup method contains the cutting in its own little humidity dome and keeps the humidity in there just right, keeps it stable, and there's no high fluctuations. And that's what harms these things, is fluctuation in humidity. When these tender plants have put out roots and the roots have filled the bottom cup, and you can pull the cup out of its you can pull the cup up and look at it and see all those roots in there, that's good. And then you want those roots to come first. And so once those roots start coming, then you get the lush green growth on the top side. And then you're tempted to rush the process. And the process includes putting more holes in the humidity dome slowly and gradually to let the plant gradually adjust to ambient humidity. Now, in theory, that works. And if you're patient, that works. Problem is in the springtime in my area, the humidity, the ambient humidity itself fluctuates. I've registered everywhere from about 30% humidity, which is really extremely dry for here, all the way up to 100% humidity, and it's usually 90%, 80% humidity around here. But it fluctuates in the spring because we've got these fronts coming through, bringing dry air from the north, and man, the figs just can't handle that. So I've had about a 50% success rate. And this year I had even less with the 3-cup method. Not getting roots to form. Almost all of my plants had roots. Almost all of my cuttings had leaves. And so it's very successful getting them started. It's transitioning them that I've had trouble with. So I'm going to be trying the fig pop, the fig pop method that they've been using lately on a lot of the forums, where the top part of the cutting stays in the ambient humidity. And you can use a humidity chamber, like a big bin, and put them all in there to help. Anyway, I think that'll probably be more helpful. But I did get some successful cuttings this year, and I'll show them to you. I've had cuttings for the last 2 years. Last year I did some cuttings. This year I've done some cuttings, and I have about 30 different varieties of figs now. And I'm waiting for them to mature and bear fruit, and I'm really excited. So let me show you some of the fig cuttings I've got and talk about what they look like over the course of a couple of years. Let's go. All right, state of the fig, spring 2018. Here's my fig jungle. Over here, this year's survivors, at least the ones I've kept. These were rooted in February, and they have successfully transitioned, being potted up. They're doing quite well. Well, they're looking good. This one especially looks nice. There's a little bud coming on the end there. This is 2 months of growth. These are from last year. So these in the 3-gallon pots are doing well also. Notice I put these things here because the pot is black, the sun is hot, and I don't want the soil temperature getting too high. So I put these around them to reflect the light away. Seems to help. Seems to do well. Here's one I find very interesting, the little ruby. Look at this plant. This is the bushiest, most dense fig plant I've ever seen. I've got 2 branches growing up. 3 actually. There's one over there, and there's a new one coming off right there. These are supposed to be a small little fig. I see some figlets coming up in the crotches there. This is going to be a nice little fig. I have high hopes for this one. Over here I've got this Latarula. This is an Italian honey fig. It's doing crazy. It's doing well. I'll be able to air layer some of these and bring them out to single plants. I like to have a single trunk, but this is how it came. And all the figs seem to be doing well. I've got my black Greek. This is one of the only black Greeks that that I had a successful start with last year. And he's doing good, looking great. Well, there's my figs for this year. Whole patio is covered with them. Gonna have to spread them out and move them around the yard a bit when they start getting a little bit larger. Well, thank you for joining me on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. That's a little bit about my figs. If you have fig questions, I can direct you to the various fig forums. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like to be notified about all of our videos when we post them, click that bell down there next to the video. Click the little bell and you'll be notified. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you spend time with us here on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Have a good day. Bye-bye.